Mustang, go for landing. Eagle looking great. Houston, the Eagle has landed.
Happy Friday, my desk jockey fitness people. It is Friday, and today is Fun Friday. We're going to do Q&A, and we're going to talk about the BMI Boondoggle. If you've ever been to a doctor, and you should regularly, they use BMI as a measurement, and what it doesn't take into account is your how much muscle you have on your body. So in other words, like NFL players, guys, particularly guys like that are running backs, they might not be that tall. They might be like my height, like 5'9", something like that. But they're 220 pounds, 215 pounds, something like that. They have to have riders on their life insurance because the BMI index tells everybody that they are obese. And yet they have like 10% body fat, 8% body fat, something like that. It's insane. So that's why the BMI is, I don't know why they use it, to be honest with you. I think they use it as a baseline. That doesn't include people that are working out and that are building muscle, that type of thing. It's like your everyday Joe, I guess, maybe, that sits around and doesn't work out at all, because it just it's ridiculous. I looked at my own body mass index. Now, like, I'm 5'9", my body mass index is a 27.3, which pushed me in the overweight zone. Which, yeah, I mean, I suppose everybody could lose some weight, but to what extent? Are you trying to get ripped? Are you trying to get down to single digits body fat percentage? I've been there. I've done that. I've gotten down to 8% body fat. The whole washboard and the whole 9 yards. But does that make me healthy? I don't think so. I mean, I was weak. My lifts weren't nearly as good as they are now. I had a joint pain. Body fat in your joints, is certainly, as you get older, is not a bad thing. Helps lubricate. So, yeah, not a good thing. Let me just say hello. Let me check out who's in the chat here. Hey, got a few people. Hank is here. He says, it seems like BMI is up to the physician these days. So are lenient and some are strict. Yeah, it brings me up to insurance companies. Like I said, that you have to get a rider if you're like an NFL player or an athlete of any type, and your BMI goes off the tracks. But the fact is, you've got a lot of muscle on your body, and your body fat levels are very low. You got to get a rider on that stuff. So where was I going with this? Some are strict and some are lenient, said Hank. Yeah. It's losing my mind here. Fridays, what can I say? Let's say hi to Dan Genovese. He says good evening in chat. Marcus Kelgrew is here. Hello. Alex Sarabia says, hey. Fat Samurai, my son's a Marine, and he has to get taped 2 or 3 times a year because he put 30 pounds on over the last 9 years and still has the same waist size. BMI lists him as morbidly obese. Has to be taped. I'm not sure what that means. He put on 30 pounds over the last 9 years and still has the same waist size. Oh, I see what you're saying. So he put on 30 pounds of muscle in 9 years because his waist size hasn't gone up. I'm not sure what taped means. Fat Samurai, if you could just maybe explain that, that'd be great. Sean Ferris is here. He says, hey. Geek Hero Bubba says, good evening. 80s made consumer says, hail. And then the guys are speaking to each other. Saltwater Cowboy. That is so cool. I was watching a show the other night. Martin Clunes' Islands. I forget what the title of the thing was. It's on Acorn. Martin Clunes is an actor, a British actor, and he's done these series about visiting various islands, and he does it by country. So in the U.S., I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, but is it South Carolina? There's people referred to as saltwater cowboys, and they have this yearly thing where the horses do this swim over to the mainland from this island. And I thought to myself, Saltwater Cowboy, wow, that is a great title for a comic, you know. And there I see your title there, and I'm like, oh shit. Maybe it's not as good as I thought. Maybe it's not as unique as I thought, I should say. Oh, Fat Samurai is replying. He says, taped is, they use a measuring tape because he's put on so much muscle. He looks like Bane these days. Okay, perfect. That makes sense. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of that's the whole what I'm trying to the point I'm trying to make about BMI is that so many people and so many doctors put so much store into that particular measurement, and it really is no indication whatsoever of your health, and that's what bugs me the most. The other thing is, you go to a doctor's office and you'll get measured for your weight and your height and all that kind of stuff. And depending on the time of year and the region you live in, uh, let's say it's winter in Buffalo where I live, and you go in, you got these big old Frankenstein boots, and you've got a jacket on, and you've got a fleece on, and all that kind of stuff. And you don't take and you got of course, your keys and your wallet and all that, and you get on the scale. Now you're a good 7-8 pounds heavier than you were when you had your appointment in August and you came in flip-flops and shorts. And yet those numbers get added in, and if they measure your height wrong and that weight wrong, and that goes into the BMI, and then all of a sudden all those numbers are out of whack. And most importantly, for insurance stuff, for life insurance stuff, or health insurance, or whatever it is you're going for, that's the kind of stuff that drives me absolutely crazy. Where did I get the inspiration for Bane? Anthony wants to know. Bane came about as a story that we were. Let me back up. Denny O'Neil was getting a lot of flack at that time because the Punisher and Wolverine were very, very popular. They were the top sellers. And he was getting all this grief that Batman ought to kill his villains. The reason the Joker, the Batman ought to take some responsibility because the Joker kills all these people and Batman doesn't kill them. So Batman would be doing a service by killing his villains. And Denny says that's bullshit. We need to show why Bruce is great and what makes him special. what makes him heroic, what makes him a hero. And so we decided we're going to take him out, replace him with a guy that the fans want, one that kills the bad guys. And we needed a bad guy to do it. So, Chuck Dixon had come up with some ideas for this character and his background. And Danny O'Neill also kicked in and wanted the Venom aspect which he had created for the book Venom, which was part of the Dark Knight. What was that series? Dark Knight. Can't remember what the name of that series was that DC had. It was an ongoing series of one shots or a couple issues type of thing. But anyway, it was written by Denny and illustrated by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. And that introduced the Venom aspect. So once I understood who this character was and what he was about and where he grew up, I started to look towards Mexican luchador as an inspiration for his look. So I guess that's the answer to your question, Anthony. That was the Mexican luchador was the inspiration for Bane. Sean Ferris says, my wife and I joined the YMCA last week. First time working out since our gym stopped offering classes in the evening. A little tip for everyone here. If you join the Y, you can go to any Y you want. Well, that is good information. I didn't know that. Oh, this is interesting. My health insurance used to have BMI penalties. Oh, interesting. I'd get a new health insurance company. Dr. Mask is here. Hey, brother. Hail, Graham. Hail, Chad. Busy tonight, but wanted to pop in and say hello. Well, we always appreciate you showing up, my friend. Melissa Ferris is here. Hello, Melissa. Hi, looking to get your opinion about a few things. 1, exogenesis ketones. Prove It Company is one I've used in the past. 2, what types of sweeteners are okay to use? Stevia, honey, date syrup. Okay, well, let's start with number 1, exogenous ketones. So you're adding ketones because you're not generating enough on your own, is what I'm assuming here. Most likely the reason you're not generating enough on your own is your fat content is too low. Maybe your protein levels are too high. It sounds like you're maybe trying to do a keto style eating program. So you need to, my guess is you need to up your fat content. There's no reason for additives. There's no reason for any of these diets that you have to add stuff to, because if it's a perfect human diet, then it's a perfect human diet. You don't need supplements of any kind. So those are boondoggles. Those are money grabs. And I would suggest a closer look at what you're eating to get you into the zone. What types of sweeteners are okay to use? Stevia, honey, date syrup. Again, depends on what you're doing. I don't use any sweeteners. I might have an occasional Diet Pepsi, at night. So what's the sweetener in that? Aspartame, maybe? Not great. But I'm not drinking, a 6-pack a day of that stuff. So I would avoid sweeteners altogether, to be honest. Hope that answered your questions. Oh, that's it. Legends of the Dark Knight. I knew it was Dark Knight something. And thank you, Dr. Mass, for posting that. Check out Graham's website, compasscomics.com. Yeah. my campaign, my current campaign, the Ghost of Metacumba Key, is currently being shadow banned by Indiegogo. But if you go to compasscomics.com, there's a link there. So you're going to need the link. And the link is in the description here, too, by the way. If you're thinking about backing the project, we're getting really close to 110,000 on this. I had an email blast that went out today that really connected with people, and I think we got 6 to 10 new backers today, which is great, and I thank everybody that's come on board. So yeah, go check out the website. It would be appreciated. Bane and Azrael both rocked. Oh, Bane rocked. I never liked Azrael. Hey, Beth, how you doing? Are you going to do the Raleigh GalaxyCon? No, that's it. That one's not on my radar. The ones that I am doing, I'm trying to think of now. I'm doing one in Dallas. I'm doing Garden State Art Fest. That's going to be a big one because most of the professionals are going to be there. Billy, me, Andy, Dan, possibly Art. It doesn't look like Aaron's going to make it from the West Coast, but we should have a lot of fun at that show. And every show that I go to, by the way, if you haven't done it, usually that Saturday night is the Graham Nolan cigar, whiskey, and Hawaiian shirt night. And so I get all the fans together and we all meet and at the hotel, and we have cigars, we drink whiskey, we tell lies, and it's a lot of fun. So if you're going to any of the shows I'm going to, make sure you pack a Hawaiian shirt, bring a cigar. If you're local, bring some whiskey to share, and we're going to have a great time. Rusty Baker, Private Eye, greetings, Graham and Ghost Gang. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you, Rusty, for tuning in. Dan Genovese uses raw honey as a sweetener. Kevin Wolf says, if you are insulin resistant, the fake sweeteners can still spike your insulin. Good to know. Fred Flux says, are you avoiding saucing the food? Yes. Basically, what goes on the plate, you eat as in or not worth the worry. I'll do some rubs. I will do salt and pepper the meats, but I don't do sauces that have sugars or any of that kind of stuff in it. Dr. Mass says, I feel like the artificial sweeteners can knock you off the wagon and move you back on the sugar. It all has a funny aftertaste to me. Yeah, some of them do. Melissa says, don't drink anything with artificial sweeteners. Read the SDS safety data sheet on them. Scary. Yes, I agree entirely with that. However, we have to remember that as human beings, we are highly adaptive. If you have a soda now and then that has aspartame in it, let's say, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to accelerate your death. It's not going to do anything. It's all about moderating that stuff. We do adapt to things. A perfect example is the fact that we've adapted to the consumption of grains because we modify them. You have to boil and cook rice. A flour has to be crushed and modified. Um, you know, because the human being can't eat that. You can't just take a stalk of wheat and eat that as a human being. We're not cows. We don't have ruminant stomachs. We don't have miles of, the same kind of miles of intestines that other animals have. Gorillas have, for example. The reason their chests are so big, they got these gigantic uh, um, uh, intestine systems in there. Um, but we can't adapt to that stuff. So, you know, I wouldn't say, that you got to avoid it entirely, but you should really knock it back. Fred Flux, Graham, do you use HGH or Trambol? Have you ever? I have not. I have never used any type of additives or human growth hormones or anything like that. Um, some people, some people use them. It just doesn't seem natural to me. Doesn't seem right that you would have to add that to you, uh, add that to your system. Seems like it, it seems like it's going to cause more problems than it's worth. Fat Samurai, love giant sized two fisted manly tales. Graham picked up another book from Compass Comics tonight. Awesome. Thank you. Enjoying the red meat and bourbon bourbon diet. Not losing much weight yet, but I'm going to push through. Okay. Uh, red meat, not an issue. The bourbon, if the goal is to lose body fat, you might want to pass on the bourbon for a bit. Yes, there's no carbohydrates in it. So if you're doing, a keto or a low carbohydrate or even a carnivore diet, you're good. However, the thing you have to remember is that your liver is processing hard when it's dealing with a lot of fats. And then if you throw alcohol on top of that, uh, that's its first priority. It's going to have to deal with the alcohol before it can process the fats. So I would just say, if the goal is fat loss, knock off the bourbon part of the red meat and bourbon diet for a little bit at least. Oh, there we go. Dan's got it picked out. Nice. We had a great time at that last show. Ethan was there, and Cecil, and Billy, and me, and Bart Sears came by, and we backed up our pickup trucks, dropped the beds down, put the lights on. Um, we had bourbon, and Billy had scotch, and we shared it with everybody. We had cigars. It was a great time. I was curious about T levels as you age. Can diet alone offset that? I'm heading to 40. I think the answer is no there, Fred. Your T levels are going to drop as you age. That's a natural function. Um, uh, Fat is a regulator of hormones. Obviously, testosterone is a hormone. So I think you can mitigate it somewhat by keeping your fat levels up. Um, but it is going to lower, you know. I think 1,000 for a young man in his 20s is somewhere, um, and somewhere around 300 is getting below where people start have to looking at hormone replacement therapy. Charlie, no chingas. How do you feel about legumes, pinto beans, and black beans, etc.? Um, Depends on what you're doing. I don't promote any one diet. I've tried them all. I'm currently doing the carnivore diet, which would um, kick out all of those things. I don't eat any of that. But again, I'm not I'm not an all or nothing guy. Um, Julie made chili the other night, and I ate that. Obviously, pinto beans and other beans in there. But I ate it just the one day, and that was it. I went right back on to what I was doing. So it depends on the style of diet. There are certain things that you can eat uh, in conjunction with other things that work fine. And if you do it the other way, you can run into problems. So it depends on the kind of diet you're doing. Are they bad for you? I don't know. Some people say that any plants are bad because they're toxic. There's toxicity in them. Uh, that they're living creatures that don't want to be eaten like everything else. They don't have teeth. They don't have horns. They don't have claws. So they have toxins in them. But again, we are a highly adaptive species, which is why the human being can live on all 7 continents and no other creature can. So, these are the kind of things you got to take into account. Sorry to hear you got shadow banned on IGG. For your future campaigns, are you planning to look for another platform like Fund My Comic or other options? Yeah, I've been looking around for that. I've explored doing building my own platform on my own website, but there's a lot of stuff going on, and I haven't been able to lock that down yet. The problem with some of these other crowdfunding platforms is that they just don't bring in the numbers. So that's one of those things you got to wear. I sent you a message via Matacumba. I hope you saw it. FYI, the shop right across the street from Menon has a full liquor store inside. I don't know if I got that message, Sean. Did you send it through Indiegogo? FYI, the shop right across the street from Menon. That must be in New Jersey you're talking about. Because ShopRite, I remember ShopRite when I lived in New Jersey. Well, there we go. 200 Watt Studios. Thank you for the $2 super chat. He's down 5 pounds. How are you on New York strip steaks? I am wonderful on New York strip steaks. They're awesome. My particular favorite is ribeyes because they got a higher fat content. But New York strips are outstanding. Another one I like are sirloins. Like if you go to your butcher and you get a nice thick cut sirloin, not that stuff they give you in the grocery store. You get a nice thick cut, marinate that, and grill it. Oh, it's so good. And the other one is flank and what's that other steak? It's like a flank. Can't remember what it's called right now. Anyway, flanks are great. You definitely got to make sure they're a tough cut. So you got to cut them on an angle, thin. Then you throw butter on them. Ooh wee, good stuff. That makes a lot of sense. Alcohol and meat would be counterproductive. It's ironic because everyone thinks wine and steak, like PB&J. Yeah, well, wine is a little bit different. There's some properties in there that affect it differently than, say, bourbon. But yeah, you got to moderate it. Fawad Siddiqui, hello. Hi, Graham. Typical common fan of average out of shapeness here, 44 now. Diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver a couple of years ago. Interesting. Started eating salads and got a trainer. Gorgeous local actress friend. That was good motivation. I managed to fix liver and lose weight from 237 to 215. Excellent. Well done. Trainer got a fancy training job and dropped me. Said I wasn't serious enough. I missed a few months because I was away playing TV bad guys. Now I'm sliding back to schlubness, lost without a trainer. Well, take the information she gave you and apply it yourself because nothing's changed. Fred's back again, not using. I think he's referring to HGH. But I was curious and I'm open to it. Primary goal being leaning out, maintaining mass, but improving long term health. I've heard positive and negative results, but would love to avoid. I'll just say this, that the more I study this stuff and the more I read about doctors that talk about the perfect human diet or the ultimate human diet, the more it comes back to primarily protein and fat, which would be closer to a carnivore diet, which is what I'm currently doing. It seems to be the perfect human diet as far as I can tell. Now I'm still in the process of sifting through it and doing it, but I feel great. One of the things that they said that you'll have was like your skin will have more resiliency again. I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? I think that if you ate a lot of carbohydrates, you would have more resiliency in your skin because you have more moisture in there because the carbohydrates hold on to liquids onto water. But sure as shooting, you know, I'm 60 years old, so my skin is drying out. And I look and I go like this, and it snaps right back. Whereas, 6 months ago, I'd go like this, and it would still be up there, and it'll go, ooh, and go down slow. So there's something to that. Of course, protein's not bad for you. Protein is the building blocks of muscle. It repairs the damage that was done. Fat regulates your hormones. It's an energy source. All of that makes sense. The only micronutrient or macronutrient you don't need is a carbohydrate, because the other reality is that if your body needs glycogen, if it needs extra energy, it can manufacture that from the excess proteins because you're eating a ton of protein. So, I'm not advocating everybody go down that road. I'm just saying that you might want to try it because it has a lot of great benefits to it. Grey Wolf says the plants are toxic stuff is nonsense. Ha ha ha. Well, let me ask you, when you eat broccoli or anything, are you putting butter on it? Are plants becoming a delivery device for your fat? Because plants are bitter. Toxic, not meaning that they're going to kill you, but they're trying to encourage you not to eat them. Um, the reality, though, which is undeniable, is the fact that the nutrients in plants, we don't have the processes to absorb them the way that other animals do. In other words, ruminant animals have chambered stomachs, and they can take those plants and they process it and draw all the nutrients out of it. That's how they survive, and that's what makes it work for them. We don't have that. We don't have the intestinal tract, and we don't have the stomach for that. So the amount of nutrients we derive from plants is not optimal. And the fact is, let's face it, if let's say there was no game for us to eat, no fat and protein, no animals for us to kill, and we had to eat vegetables and plants, we would be eating all day long. The calorie content's not there, the fat content, the energy content, none of that is there to provide a human being with the energy and that's needed to fire the brain and get the animal um, at an optimal level to be able to continue on. It's just not there. So it's a waste of energy to me, it seems like. Whereas, a small hunk of beef or a small hunk of fat can get you through almost an entire day without eating a single meal or another single meal, I should say. Ooh, hello. Wife makes what she calls Texas chili with bacon, slices of sausages, and lean ground beef. No beans. Oh, yeah, that's Texas chili. Yeah, carnivore friendly and delicious, dude. That sounds amazing. Okay, Sean, I'll take a look and see if a message came through. Usually I get notified, but I can't say that I got one. Um, unless you use a pseudonym. Follow-up asks, what's your recommendation for basic beginners to bodybuilding? Okay, well, bodybuilding indicates you're interested in building muscle and you're shaping your body. Um, so dietarily, a classic bodybuilding diet is a 40-40-20 split. 40% of your calories come from protein, 40% from carbohydrates, and 20% from fats. And then the workouts themselves, you know, uh, it's easy enough to Google search various bodybuilding workouts. I would focus on well, I like the strength programs myself, the complex or the multi joint exercises. Um, but a lot of the bodybuilders tend to do splits. So I would just say do some Google searches for bodybuilding workouts, but that's the traditional diet or macronutrient level. Fred says, just want to say, Graham, I love that you're a part of Comicsgate. Your expertise in the industry, the wonderful products backed Alien Alamo. Yeah, boy. And your hallowed status as a legend. Thank you, brother. That is much appreciated. Melissa's correct. The only diet that works is the one you will do. Mm-hmm. Vic says, I'm very excited hitting the gym now. Natural since I started 5x5. My back isn't in pain. My upper body gets a crazy pump. Do not want to ruin progress by taking roids. Excellent. There's no reason to do that stuff. It's not healthy. It's not natural. Fred says, yeah, you're absolutely right, though. I complain about not being lean, but I have never committed to Atkins, paleo, or any variant of the protein focused diet. You look great, Graham. You're my goal. Well, I look great for a guy that's 60. And broccoli farts. 200 Watt Studios back again with a $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. Cheeses, what are the best? And are they all pasteurized? If so, is that bad? No, pasteurization isn't bad. Hard cheeses are better. Soft cheeses tend to have more carbohydrates. But most cheeses you will find are good. Vic says his dad looked the same when he was 20 to 50, so I got it tough. Nice. Well done, Dad. Uh-oh. Oh no, I meant my dad looked really bad and old. So when he was 20, he looked like a wreck, and he looked like a wreck when he was 50. Okay, I got you. That's funny. There are some people that it's funny, you look at them in their 30s and you're like, gosh, they look older than 30. But then they hit 60 and they look the same. You're like, damn. Geronimo says, I've had to go lighter with higher reps to avoid injury and bad technique. Well, here's the thing, Geronimo. Uh, okay, I get that you're going with lighter weights. And yes, it's important to have good technique. Um, but once you get that down, start that with lighter reps, and you focus uh, on the technique aspect, and then keep moving up. Each time you do it, uh, each different day you do it, not the same day when you're adding, when you're doing another rep. Um, do it one way, then the next time you're doing that exercise, increase the weights, but focus on that technique again. But that's the advantage of of the overload process, is that you have to get the body um, um, you have to shock the body, I guess basically is the best way to say it, uh, into adapting to greater loads. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to adapt to that level. So you have to keep adding. Um, and if you're ever going to grow, that's the way to do it. Don't get frustrated with plateaus. It's hard when you're when you've lifted for decades and you hit the mass load. Training variation is what I found works best. If you have fun in the gym, growth comes. Those are words of iron there, Fred, uh, because we are going to plateau. And unless you're Superman and you're sucking up more solar energy, you're going to hit a plateau where you can't go beyond that. It could be genetics. It could be a lot of things that's going to prevent you from going on. So the best thing to do is, as you said, variate your training. Is if you're doing a strength training, let's say a 5x5 type thing, then go down to a split training where you're doing 10 to 12 reps instead of 3 to 5, and focus, mind muscle connection, and focus on those lifts. And then go back after a few months to the heavy lifts again and see if that doesn't push you through. The other aspect is that keeps you from plateauing too, a lot of times, is your energy levels. You're not ingesting enough calories and carbohydrates to fuel the muscles to increase the loads. So that's something you should try. If you feel that you've plateaued, the first thing you should do is protein and calorie up, and if that doesn't work, then deload. Dan says he includes yoga and mobility work in my routine. Really, really important. I wish I did more of it myself, but I can't encourage it enough. You really, it's a really great thing to do. So, all right, my friends, I think we've covered everybody in here. I want to thank everybody for the super chats. Thank you for coming in and spending your Friday with me. And I hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you Monday for Motivational Monday. Until then, have a great weekend. See ya.